go to the NBA. Oh, die with the lie. Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge are feeling the hate for joining the super team Nets. Blake saying this in the response to the critics. It's kind of funny to me because for the last couple of years, all I heard is how bad I am. You sign with this team and everybody's like, that's not fair. Stephen A., some hypocrisy here. Is the Griffin-Aldridge criticism justified?
Well, first of all, it's justified. And secondly, and more importantly...
Can I ask you something? How could you ask Stephen A. that question? He's the guy doing the criticizing. Is it justified? Who's been louder about it than Stephen A.?
That would be true. You're
I know.
absolutely accurate on that
I didn't know if I should just put him on the spot like that on Front Street right out of the gate.
I got no problem with it.
Himself.
I said what I said. I meant what the hell I said. Ain't nobody scared of Blake Griffin. I respect the hell out of him. I really do. Not just as a basketball player, but as a person. But I said what I said. I meant what the hell I meant. All right? The fact of the matter is that he's got this wrong, though, in this sense. It wasn't me that said that. Remember, I was pointing out how Blake Griffin, and you remember when you were talking about, Max, how the dissipation and skills, and I was saying he's a place where he doesn't want to be.
Notice he's dunking now.
It's Detroit. He doesn't want to be there. He's not that interested in being there, et cetera, et cetera. You know what? You depart from L.A. to go to the Motor City. It's a difference. And you look at the Clippers franchise and what he had there compared to what he has in Detroit. It's a difference. That's what I pointed to. I certainly didn't point to some flagrant dissipation of skills. As a matter of fact, the only argument that we made, and I still stand by that, is who would you rather have, Blake Griffin or Carmelo Anthony, when we were talking about both of them. And I said I'd rather have Carmelo Anthony. And I didn't think that Blake Griffin was Carmelo Anthony. This is years ago. We had that discussion. That's the only negative thing I've ever said about Blake Griffin, and I don't consider it negative. It was just me praising Carmelo Anthony because, damn it, Carmelo Anthony deserved it. He deserves it now, and I'm very proud of my brother for doing what he's been doing. But in between,
he didn't deserve it so much.
Well, you could say he didn't deserve it, but he
does deserve it now. He deserved it then.
He had departed from the Knicks. And then remember, he was in Oklahoma City and then from Oklahoma City to Houston. But there were some issues in both respective places, which I highlighted. But for him to be out of the league was just ridiculous. And Carmelo Anthony has proved me right. I'm proud of that brother. Now let me get back to Blake Griffin. That's all I said. I've never said anything about Blake Griffin couldn't play. Matter of fact, I specifically pointed out he can play. Here's where Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge needs to understand where I'm coming from. KD might have left Oklahoma City to go to Golden State, Max and Molly. But KD was a superstar. And he arrived as a superstar. And even though they were a bomb squad, he still elevated them because he's that great. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. When you look at LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, they were once the cornerstones of a franchise in Portland and L.A. respectively. When LaMarcus Aldridge went to San Antonio, that was a big-time free agent pickup for the San Antonio Spurs. And we were looking at them different because LaMarcus Aldridge had arrived, and obviously they had other pieces there with Manu and Kawhi and all of that other stuff, with Tim Duncan fading into the twilight. We understood that. What I'm saying is that you look at them now, it's as if they are literally hanging on for the sole express purpose of getting a championship while making a minimal contribution. That is not the same as you being some big-time talent and then going to a team as a big-time talent where you're playing a pivotal role. And so what I'm saying is for them to join a squad where you're talking about Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge possibly not even being a fourth option. A fourth option. I'm like, damn, that's all I'm saying. And I don't apologize for that because I'm about this competition, man. It means everything to me in this sense. I want to see who you go against. How many times do I sit here with you, Max, across from you and talking to Molly? How many times do I pay attention to two things? Resume, and I talk about who you win against.
Quality of opposition.
The quality of opposition. And when the scales are tipped so dramatically that there's barely competition. I'm not saying that's the really case. I'm saying that's the intent. That's where I get along. That's all I'm saying.
Blake is right about this, and you're wrong. Okay. And I will tell you why.
Please do.
First of all, the media is not a monolith. We all have different things to say.
Sure.
But overwhelmingly, what Blake has been hearing recently, not from you, is you stink. You can't play anymore.
Yeah, he didn't hear that from me.
No, he didn't hear that part from you, but he heard that. And now he's hearing overwhelmingly from the media, it's not fair. They got Blake. So he has a right to feel that way. It's not directed at you or me or just generally like, hold up, time out. most of what is said is I can't play, and now most of what is said is it's not fair, the Nets got me. How's that work? Okay, that's number one. Number two, you're essentially saying he's ring chasing, and that when he was the cornerstone of a franchise, he couldn't get it done. And the same goes for LaMarcus Aldridge. And you're right about that. You're right. They weren't good enough to be the best player on a championship team. Maybe not even the second best player on a championship team. But I'm not going to sit here and castigate players who've come to a conclusion, especially at this point in their career, that's not easy. I can't be the man on a championship team. Know why, Stephen A? Not good enough. They're not quite good enough. It's not that they weren't fantastic players. They were. But there are levels to this. When you have a league with LeBron and KD and those guys, that's a level above the highest level Blake or LaMarcus Aldridge have ever played on. Mm-hmm. That's not a slight to them. It's praising the level that LeBron and KD have attained. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to sit here and cast aspersions and kind of take credit away from guys, especially when they're older, who acknowledge that, okay, you know what I can be? I can be the fourth option on a championship team, especially when the addition of Blake and LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't make it unfair to the Nets. They don't really move the needle. What moves the needle for the Nets was KD, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. That's why the Nets are going to destroy everybody.
Okay. Here's my point. First of all, I'm allowed to not like something without it actually being a criticism. It just doesn't happen to be my preference. I'm not knocking Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. I get it. But my point is that if this were a superstar that we saw descend before our very eyes, we would be like, why not just retire? As opposed to be seen as somebody who's the fourth, fifth, sixth wheel on a team riding the coattails of other people because they were so great at one moment in time and expectations were so high for them at one moment in time that to not reach that, but to still stick around, to essentially be in a uniform, sitting on the bench damn near as much as I am, okay, watching the other guys perform, but getting a ring. I'm not saying that's literally the case with LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin. Of course not. I'm not trying to disrespect them. I respect where they're coming from. I'm just saying that as a basketball purist who loves the game and loves the competitive fervor, is it all right for me to sit up there and say, I don't like it without it being a criticism?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. That I agree with, and let me explain this real quick, Molly. I need about a minute.
Sure.
I was on KD, as were you, for going to the Warriors, because people like us in the media put so much stress on winning championships, right? Barkley doesn't have a chip. Shaq gives him stuff about it on the air, right? Like, that's how it goes. So these players want chips. I gave KD criticism because he reverse engineered it. He went to a team that couldn't not win a chip without him because they almost did it. They had one without him. They're one of the best teams ever made, right? And now KD joined. So what does that really prove, KD? Well, I won MVP of the finals. Stop it. You couldn't not do that. You're a great player. You joined an impossible team to beat with you on it. This is a version of that, basically, to me, is what you're saying, Stephen, and I agree with that. I think guys like Blake and LaMarcus Aldridge are there going, look, they have the names of great players because they were at their best. And now they're going to add a ring. But they're not, adding a ring's not going to say anything about them as players. That's the point. A ring is supposed to say something about you as a player. These rings won't do that for Blake and Aldridge, other than the fact that they gave up money to go get it. That it was important to them, that they wanted to go buy it. That's how important it was to them. Yeah. That I agree with.
All right. We're going to leave it there, fellas. Plenty more to come here on First Take. Are the 49ers making a mistake keeping Jimmy G and drafting a quarterback? Super Bowl champion Booger McFarland wants in on that debate in just a bit. Plus, the Clippers beat the Bucks without PG-13.